I'm the COO and co-founder of Snapdragon Hemp, and we're here with Tim.
Howdy, howdy. Tim Shields, Beverage Director with Snapdragon. Yeah, been part of the team since October of last year.
Yeah,
So not long.
not very long.
Not even
but
a year.
A lot has happened in that time period. So
It's been pretty a fun ride. Yeah, we were just chit-chatting a second ago about just the performance that we've seen in the drinks that we have coming out, from the blood orange all the way over to the 100 milligram that is oh so popular with the cannabis crowd, and a lot of new things coming out too. We just did you guys were talking about the margarita.
the margarita, we call it the Margarita Seshee, just because it's the same like frozen drink or whatever, but it's definitely a little different just because it doesn't have all the sugar and it tastes more like a margarita. But people have been really excited to have that at our new locations for sure.
I just tried that today when I was dropping some stuff off at the 58 location, and it's fire. I mean, it tastes like margarita. So
I only tried it unfrozen. So.
Really, yeah. It's a good one. We were kind of doing some chit chatting this morning, brainstorming. It's constantly what we do in the beverage industry, just because there's so many variables that we can get to people to consume their product in a liquid form, and the canned beverages are definitely a thing that I think a lot of people are starting to kind of understand a little bit more, understand the dosing, and we're seeing a huge shift in that. I mean, we just left Shady's Corner. We had a little luncheon over there, and they're making little Mary J. little mocktail cocktail things with it, and
But man,
I had to put eye drops in. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, for me and the drinks, man, it just blows me away. Every day it blows me away. When I talk to people and I try to push, obviously we have hundreds of products. We have a lot of good things to push. Not everybody's going to like the drinks, of course. But for what it is, we've seen the most explosive growth on these drinks, even more so than when THCA flower came out. People were having this mobile flower. People are just gravitating towards it because in my mind, I'm sure there's more reasons, but in my mind, the main two are just the ease. I get asked a lot of times, why do you guys sell so many drinks? Because human beings have to drink liquid to survive. It's honestly just an easy transition to have a water, and it's just infused. It's
literally,
just a great starting point.
When I first found out about y'all, I guess it was 2019. There was a lot of talk about the Delta 8 stuff. I was still trying to understand the hoopla jargon of the letters and numbers that were getting tossed around, and I was still buying it from my homie. But Snapdragon was actually the first store in Chattanooga, or even in Tennessee, because I traveled all over East Tennessee doing sales for another company, that actually got me to understand the differences in all the things from D8 to D9 to the THCA, how the edibles can affect you versus water soluble and stuff like that. So, as a cannabis user for so long, we were just talking about this. Now I just can appreciate a product in a better form because now I'm getting educated on how to just consume it. And
it's a lot to learn. People now, even to this day, they don't know that stuff. They're just like, oh, it gets me high. It doesn't. But there are so many complexities to it. 100%. Even now, 6 years in, I learn new stuff every day about how this stuff interacts with the body.
And then the cool thing that when I started to jump in with Snapdragon, I was so gung-ho about the psychoactive side of the beverages. I started to understand the kind of perception, and we've kind of all understood everyone's perception of what the cannabis is and what it can do, but going to bars and restaurants and trying to push that into them, where they're selling alcohol, people are putting back alcohol, you can get crossfaded with combining the two. But there's been so many times where I've just had to teach and just educate, and just kind of explain to people it's just a new form of imbibing in a controlled way. You know what I mean? Like every single time you get the 10 milligram, it's 10 milligrams. It's never going to be over. So there's not that one bad, like you've probably had a brownie that sent you somewhere that
Absolutely.
you probably shouldn't have gone.
100%. For far too long. Way too many hours.
Absolutely.
I drink a 50 milligram diesel cannabis, it's just the water that's 50 milligrams of D9, and there will be times where I'm like, wow, I'm a lot higher than I expected to be, but I know within 2 hours. I'm not going to be like, 8 hours later on the bed wondering when this is going to end. So,
well, and that's the cool thing about the drinks. When I first had the Cannabis 10 milligram, I got it from the 153 location out in Hickson because I saw the billboard and it said alternative to alcohol. And I literally have been searching a way to get out of the alcohol industry. And I saw that billboard and I was like, oh, what is this about? Pulled over, get a can, go home. I try it, blown away. The next day, I literally went into the 58 location, got some THCA pre-rolls. I think it was grape ape, and it melted my brain. And I was like, oh, this is way better than I thought. And then I started to make conversations with one of the store people over at the 58 location just to see if y'all were hiring. And I'm glad that I reached out the way that I did because this has been one of the most fun, stressful learning curves that I've ever been a part of in such a open arm form. And to be able to give a product that is consumable, that I love so much, that is not going to hurt you, I just actually feel good about that. You know what I mean? Like that's the difference of I'm a beer drinker. I'll drink beer until the day I die, but
probably me too.
Selling it, like you kind of always have that like, I hope you don't get too, you know what I mean? Like, just
is this going to get that person too wasted? Are they going to ruin their prom night?
And something with the beverages. One of the things with the beverages that I've been trying to explain to people is, cannabis users were probably a little bit more responsible because there's never that time where you're going to go, yeah, I want one more drink. Like when you're high, and when
you cut yourself off when you're drinking cannabis versus
you're going to be the first one taking an Uber because you're too scared to drive. And
you get 5 beers deep, you don't need that sixth beer. You're getting it though.
100%. And you're going to go stop by Crystal's probably. And that's the thing that I love about this product. There's people that I've been close to over the years that haven't consumed products, the cannabis in 20 years. And they wouldn't have because they don't want to smoke it. They don't want to go into a cannabis dispensary because they don't understand it. It's too complex for them.
Sure.
But now that you can go to your local liquor store to pick it up, even the people that are selling it at liquor stores are getting familiar with it, so they know how to gauge it and explain it to their customers of like, you're going to get high, you will fail a drug test. These are strong potencies, 5 to 10 milligrams, that's entry level. I have someone in my life that has never consumed cannabis. And when I first started with y'all, they wanted to try the 10 milligram water. So we poured her half of a little
great
can.
Starting point.
Poured half a can, squeezed the lime in it. She finished it and then wanted to finish the can. She went home. The next morning I called to make sure she wasn't hiding in her closet. And so I called and just see how she felt. And she said that she felt great. She said she had, even just driving home, she felt like she was in control, but she just felt really relaxed. There wasn't a care going on in her brain. And then when she got home, she said that it was about the third piece of apple pie that she realized that that she had the munchies and she was high. So it was just like, when I heard that story, I mean, that was the first 2 weeks of me working with y'all. When I heard that story, that's when I was like, this is it. Like, this is the wave of how people are going to kind of consume this product eventually because you're not smoking it. And you guys are doing stuff with concentrates that blew my mind away. The first time I saw diamonds, I was
incredible.
Like, when I saw diamonds, I was like, is this allowed? Like,
I mean, even the newer stuff, just the batters, the White Widow and the lemon cherry gelato,
yeah,
you get those. Marvin, he opened up a jar of those for the first time the other day. He went, what? Yeah, I mean, it's good.
the flower, everything about it. And we're starting to see a lot of cool things. We got a brewery up in, not Snapdragon, but there's a brewery that's an account of ours that we sell to up in Knoxville. And they saw the success of our lemonade and 10 milligram water just from 2 months of selling it. So we kind of chit-chatted with them to make the Rinse 9 water soluble available to them to make their own weed drinks as well. Mm-hmm. And it's a huge hit. And he even tells me that his D9 drinks are sometimes outperforming his beer sales, and he's a craft beer brewery. And if you want to get to this place, it's Ebony and Ivory up in Knoxville. It's a super dope spot. They got cool atmosphere. But yeah, they're making their own D9 drinks. And the more kind of
cool.
stuff that you kind of start to see, like that's how it gets normalized a little bit more.
100%. Yeah,
You
100%.
know, it's, sure, we're not saying that just because we do 100 milligrams doesn't mean that you have to go and drink that. We do offer things from the blood oranges is one of my favorite. As an everyday user, I like that one because it's 6 milligrams of the Delta 9 with those 4 milligrams of CBD. That CBD is going to kind of counteract any kind of negative stuff that might come along with the Delta 9. It's got that nice little bit of a blood orange flavor to it. 0 sugars. Come on.
It is just interesting. I will say it's interesting. Like there seems to be milligrams wise when you, let's say you're not a cannabis user. My best friend Brandon, great example, hasn't really smoked cannabis in a long time. Will maybe do on occasion. Doesn't like edibles. Doesn't like the thought of getting too paranoid or whatever. And the drinks have changed his life. I mean, he had the first 10 milligram cannabis, and he was like, "What? It can just be like this. I don't have to be stressed out, and it can just be a water." Like, oh, you know. But it's interesting. He did the 10 milligrams for 3 or 4 days, and then after that, he had to go to the 25s. And he wasn't drinking the whole 25. He was like splitting it with his wife or whatever. And I think there's a cap for that. Like around 25 plus, you're not going to see exorbitant increase, but you do see a pretty fast tolerance from the 10 to the 25. I think a matter of weeks of using that.
Absolutely. I had a really good friend back in January. Was a really great push this year to do the dry January, and little behold, the beverages really started to shine during that time. You had places like Universal Joint that put it on tap. Clever Ale House has been selling it. Shady's Corner's been selling it. Tap House. All these places really went ham with it during that time, and we're running it on specials. I know there was a few other beverages out there as well. Now the market's flooded with it. I would say that Chattanooga probably has 60 different brands of cannabis beverages here. And it's like, oh my God. But you kind of see that in every new trend, and we'll see those fade away.
Yeah.
And we'll see the real ones stand out. And with what Snapdragon's doing, I mean, Josh has a vision, man, and it's pretty glorious with what he's doing by the spa, the beverages. Like, I never expected to be able to drink a product that's going to get me faded within 20, 30 minutes. And that's what I don't think some people understand. You know, out when I'm selling the product, you have accounts that are like, well, yours is a little bit more potent than the others. All right, well, it took me a little bit to understand that. And after talking with Branson, I now realized kind of the difference in that, or the way that we're doing that. It's just a whole different process.
Sure.
And feeling 10 milligrams within 30 minutes is way different than feeling 10 milligrams over an hour and a half of an edible kicking in.
It is.
And
it is definitely different.
People are going to look at that and just go, this is way stronger than some of these other drinks that are taking longer time to kick in. So I don't know if you've ever heard anyone even mentioning any of that or experienced that.
There's so many different factors that come into play with stuff like that. The main one that I can think about is, at the end of the day, we have our Rinse 9 standard, and we have our technology, and we make our water soluble, perhaps in a different way than other people do. I'm sure that the standard practice of removing molecule size is not, it's not a new concept. There are other people that are going to just be able to buy equipment, get into it, and jump into it. But are they doing it the right way? Are they reducing the molecule size by enough? Are they using the right material when they're using the sonicator? Stuff like that. I mean, it would actually be easy if you didn't do the research and didn't know what you were doing to make something that did not give you the same type of effects as the stuff we make.
Yeah, I was truly blown away, and I've had nothing but great feedback from people that have tried. I've had a couple of horror stories from a few people that got misdosed with the beverages, and those are as fun as those are always to hear. It's
of course,
it's always just like I hope that wasn't the first person's time trying the product. You know what I mean? But the way I look at it with alcohol, I mean, I wasn't responsible the first time I drank alcohol. And even in my 30s, I'm sometimes not even responsible for drinking alcohol. So it's just the same thing. It just has a different effect. And once you kind of understand that and venture down that path, you kind of, I guess, appreciate it a little bit more. You know what I mean? I had a friend back to January hit me up at the beginning of it, wanting to try some of the drinks for dry January. And going off what your friend was saying, like, the first week and a half, he was on the 10 milligrams. By the time he finished that month, he was getting a case of 25 milligrams.
That's the sweet spot, it seems like, the 25.
Yeah, 25s are my wheelhouse. And the cool thing about them now is you're going to start seeing them with resealable lids.
I'm excited
Super
about
pumped
that.
about those. So
look
those,
good.
I actually saw some at the Red Bank location.
Mm-hmm.
So those are going to be really fun. And then that's going to be great for people that don't want to drink a whole thing and want to pour half of it out and
Yeah,
put it back in the
100%.
fridge and not worry about it going flat or anything like that. I think that's a great concept. Been a long time coming.
Yeah, I mean, I not only think it's well worth the cost, I definitely would like to say as well. I just got asked for the first time about those yesterday at Red Bank. Connie was like, "Oh, we love these new caps. Are they going to increase this? Are they going to increase that?" Hey, no, this is just something we want to do because it's awesome. This
Yeah.
is not going to affect the customer in any way except having a better product. We never tried to make big changes and have that kind of cost affect the customer. And I thought it was interesting that I was
Yeah.
asked that yesterday, and I was like, no.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just makes sense now that we have it. You're like, oh yeah, like this is a brilliant concept to have. Like, yes, because the 100 milligrams, that's going to be perfect to have a resealable lid. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
Because if I was to open one of those, I still haven't tried that thing. That thing scares me.
I did the 100 milligram one time.
Yeah.
I would do it again, but I don't know if I would drink the whole thing.
Sure.
I'd probably drink half of it.
Yeah.
But at that
Yeah,
point, I'll
50
just
I
get the
can
50
do.
diesel. So.
Yeah, 50 I can do pretty well, and maintain.
It's flying though. People are loving the 100 milligrams. It ain't for everybody, but
It's
the
so
ones that
fun.
want it, they want
Yeah,
it.
because I was so nervous about that, and I still get nervous about that one when it first came out. That I kind of pushed against it, but like now that I see it, it's just kind of one of those things where it's just like, you just kind of gotta let it be what it is, man. And the people that want the 100, they know what they're getting themselves into, and
That's true.
And that's the thing that I'm starting to understand about the industry a little bit better with this as someone who's been a long time user. I know my limits. People know their limits when they see that 100 milligrams. They know what they're going to be able to do with it. So but it's crazy because like 100 milligram edible, I'll jump on that really quick because I know the
Fair
longevity.
enough, yeah.
You know what I mean? But the water sols will, because I just know how quick they can kick in, and I know that it'll send me.
Well, it's important to know your limits with all things. I mean, even with us putting all the cannabis drinks and stuff that we are and combining with the alcohol market, the bar market and stuff like that, I hear it all the time. What if someone drinks too much of this and drinks too much of this? And limits are super important.
Absolutely.
Not everything is the same way for everybody else. Myself personally, I love going out to the bar, having a couple drinks, smoking a joint with everybody. I'm having a great time.
What bars you doing that at? I'm just kidding.
Hey, maybe at our bars. But some people, they have one beer, and if they were to even smoke a hit off a joint, it would ruin their life.
100%.
So it's just important, I guess, to know moderation and stuff like that. And I definitely want it to be known that while there has been a lot of concerns with those mixing, it really does come down to a level of personal responsibility.
Absolutely.
And you're right. The people that are doing the cannabis are going to cut themselves off before the people that are drinking.
Yeah,
for sure. Every time.
There's been a stigma around it for so long that it's ingrained to be afraid of this thing. Even if now that we have it at our doorstep, there's people that are still kind of just like, what, how is this even possible? Okay, I'm going to keep doing it, but how is this? But the way that it's set up and the way that things are going, it's just going forward. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. And it's going to have to come down to it where people just understand that you just have to be responsible with it. Like, if you don't think you can handle 100, don't do it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if you got to question it, you probably shouldn't. That's true.
exactly. And that's the thing that I've tried to talk about with a lot of the bar restaurant owners. It's like, that's a question that I get asked a lot from the restaurant owners is like, what happens if somebody has a couple of beers and then has this drink and leaves here and smashes into a tree? I'm like, I don't know what happens if they leave here and they have 4 or 7
17
drinks
shots
and
they
it's a
crash into
tree. You better hope that their lawyer's not that great. Like the laws are only going to protect you for so much, and that's where you as an establishment have to kind of also take ownership, just like you do with the alcohol. There's plenty of accounts around town, all the way up in Knoxville to Nashville, that are carrying our beverages now that do put limits on some of these things. And there's some that are not putting limits on it. They're letting the adults be adults. It's a 21 and up product.
And there are a lot of bars that are really helpful with the after bar. Like, we'll call you an Uber. We're not going to let you do anything crazy, stuff like that. So I'm definitely grateful to see more bars stepping up and trying to help people not make those kind of mistakes.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to do.
Absolutely it is. And when it gets to the point where, I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've sat at a bar and I wake up the next morning, I'm like, how did they keep serving me? You know what I mean? Like, what?
I know. I was Jasmine that used to work here. She was like, I'm telling you, this is how bars work. You go to a bar and they can't serve you 2 beers in an hour. Like, you get an hour, 2 beers. I was like,
where?
I've never been cut off in my life, anywhere, at any point.
Unless, and it's the thing that makes me chuckle. It's like, the better you're known there, the less you're going to get cut off.
Yeah.
You're good.
Good or bad.
Exactly. But with the cannabis drinks, it's just, most people are having 1 or 2 when they're at the establishments. And the ones that are going into the bars are typically around the 10 milligrams. So
For sure.
you can have those during the daytime and be A-okay if you're well equipped of what it is that you're getting yourself into. You know what I mean? If you've never tried it, maybe don't have one on lunch break before you have to go do a presentation or something. I don't know.
Definitely.
Because then it might make you feel a little weird.
But it's definitely been cool. Josh, God bless him, he's seen the vision the whole time. We didn't even have water in a can, and he already foresaw where we're at now. He always wanted to get to this point where we had it at every bar in town, and lots of businesses are just becoming more open in general. The microbrewery market is going downhill. The cannabis drinks market is going uphill. And I don't really see that trend stopping anytime soon. I think people are happy to drink less and imbibe cannabis a little more and not have to feel like they have to worry about being hungover the next day. It affect their job, affect their life, stuff like that. So
absolutely, having a couple of the Delta 9 drinks do not really. I might feel a little groggy in the morning, but I'm not hurting. I don't feel hungover. I don't feel dehydrated. It's just I wake up with a pep in my step and I'm ready to go. And I think the younger generation is definitely not even just the D9 stuff. They're just seltzers in general. They're not drinking as many calories.
The seltzer market is booming.
It's so crazy, man. It's one of those things in the craft beer industry a few years ago.
I never even thought I would like seltzers.
Bro, in the craft beer industry 5-6 years ago, everyone just this will go away real quick.
I bet.
But it's here to stay, man. And I think it's a lot of it is the younger generation that they just don't have a taste for that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's just, I grew up watching my parents drink draft beer from my house with Zimas and stuff. You know what I mean? And with Jolly Ranchers, being able to do that stuff. So it's different upbringings. And now the cannabis is just when you get it in the proper dose, it's a game changer.
Truly.
I don't necessarily know how to explain it other than just do it. Like, yes. Once you know what you're getting, it's the best thing ever.
Once you do know instantly. You already know.
It's the best thing ever. It's like, oh, that is perfect for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when we went to Colorado back in October, it was my first time going out there.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, my wife, a really good homeboy of mine and his wife, we went out there, so both celebrating our anniversaries and birthday.
Nice.
First thing we did, we hit up a dispensary, and of course, I hadn't even started with Snapdragon yet. It was just finishing up, making that transition from my old job to this job. Great transition to do that too. It was 7 days in Colorado with some close people. And the first thing that we did, we didn't even get to our Airbnb. Stopped at the Emerald Green, I think was the name of the place. Line already out the door. And this was a Thursday afternoon. I was like, dang, okay. Walk in and it's super official. You got to do all this stuff. And we kind of get outside and found some beverages, and I was like, oh, dang, cool. This is awesome. And it was just one of those reassuring things where it was just like, man, Snapdragon is ahead of it in Tennessee. And it just was one of those things where it's like, made me feel really good about the decision of leaving something so sure known as the alcohol industry, coming to something that is not necessarily a gamble, but still paving that road of what's to come with this industry.
I'm so bad about going to dispensaries now. I'm so jaded now.
Yes.
You're right. We are doing it well.
Yeah.
There was a point in time before we started doing this that we traveled out west. Cool. We have weed out here. We can do stuff. And the last time I went out to Colorado, the first place I went into, I was going to get a cart. And I looked at it and I could tell by just in 5 seconds that cart was made in China. And I was like, do you guys even know where your carts are coming from? I was like, oh, the dispensary illusion now, since we're doing it the right way. I know how to easily spot who's doing it the wrong way, and it's most of them, honestly.
Absolutely. That's why when I say what I say, like I'm very happy with saying Snapdragon is the reason that changed my mind on what's been happening in Tennessee. Every other dispensary I've gone to, I feel like might be some cocaine in there. I don't know. But it's just one of those things where it's not as, I don't know. With Snapdragon, it's very. What did Marvin say earlier? He said something.
I can't remember his exact words.
But he said something about it just being very homey, personal coming into the stores like that. Where it's true, man. Like I didn't feel like I was being talked down to or talked to like an idiot. Like when my first day of orientation and Alec was going over some stuff, I was like, come again,
Alec's
please.
got a lot to say.
Please come again. And it's still one of those things where it's not stopping.
No.
There's times where I have to read the same things just to kind of make sure that I can understand it on how to express it to people to where they feel comfortable to consume it.
Sure.
You know?
And honestly, as far as our retail stores, we've been pretty lucky. I would say with our retail stores, more than 90-something%, almost 100% of the people that work at our stores actively use the products and not to party. Like they actively use it to help themselves.
Right.
So they know what it means for somebody to come in the store and be like, I need help, and know how to explain to them and how to help them find exactly what they need. So I think we've been really lucky with that for sure.
Absolutely. It was, I'd say back in February, the first time that I actually got a really high dose of CBD. And it was the first time that I actually appreciated it. Because every time I've ever done it, it's always been low, 5 milligram, 20 milligram. And I've never really had the understanding of like, should I feel something? Should I feel relaxed? What is it? But the bakery, they do the super CBD cookie.
The 500 milligram.
Son,
I love that thing.
I just started getting back in the running back in February, and I took a very aggressive first run. And boy, did I feel it. So I went and got one of those cookies, and I had a lemonade, and it felt like I took a 800 milligram ibuprofen. I felt incredible, man.
I love that.
But I wasn't high at all because of that CBD, just kind of...
Just relaxed.
Yeah. And it was that moment where I was just like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, getting high is just a plus sometimes. Like, now I can just use this product and feel good.
100%. 100%. There's a time and a place for getting blasted, for sure. The older you get, the less times those are. But
big facts. Absolutely big facts.
What are you excited about most that's coming up probably in the drink industry?
Man, I'm really excited to see some of the stuff that you guys have been teetering with on the spirit side of things. You know, what the Dragon has been doing with the with all the mixed mocktail stuff. I think that's just setting up for some really cool tequila-based kind of non-alcoholic flavored beverages, whiskey-based ones. I would love to see kind of that kind of really cool, inspired, artisanal mocktail stuff, but it's cannabis with no alcohol. The food aspect, I think, I'm so excited about that, man. I am.
I'm going to tell you, as someone that has been taste testing with Luther and Josh and everything, Amy could not be doing better. It's going to be so good. I'm truly impressed.
I'm really pumped on that. That is one of the things that I'm really excited about, is to start to see people incorporate that on a daily regimen of having the experience of having some food that's dosed with some Delta 9 and then getting some CBD after it to kind of counteract with that. I know you guys were talking about it in one of the podcasts about doing the naked rib for dinner. Sounds like a great time.
It was so fun.
Man. And then you guys did the murder mystery thing with Wanderlinger.
Trying to branch out a little bit, for sure.
But I feel like every single time that y'all do it, it's sold out tickets. Everyone's having a great time. Everyone's leaving there with probably about 40 milligrams of Delta 9 CBD kind of total, you know what I mean? So that's not too much. But I'm really excited to kind of see that food aspect kind of come out to play, the mocktail stuff. I want to kind of start to get that stuff into some canned stuff. I think that would be really cool to see. And even just talking to some other local restaurants, their takes on wanting to do like cannabis dinners and stuff like that. And it's just like, you talk to a lot of these chefs and stuff like that, they're about it, man. And they're already drinking our products or using the THCA pre-rolls and stuff like that. And I was just at St. John's meeting place yesterday talking to those guys over there, trying to do some stuff with them on a dinner. And they're all drinking the Doobie Blast and they're all getting pre-rolls. Even one of them's pulling out a cart. Like it's to be going to places like that. It's just like, hell yeah, man. Like I'm so excited to see that. Now we got the Dragon and Amy doing that stuff. And she's got a name for herself out there in the industry as well, 100%. Man. So it's cool to see that stuff. There's so many things that we can do with the beverages, man.
I know. I'm excited. The cocktail stuff. It's cool. It's nice because at the roast or at the lounge, you can just make a mixed drink, throw the cannabis in there, get the flavor profile right, make it taste good and everything. But the mass producing of just because of the ingredients that, like, let's just say our margarita is a great example. Are ready to make, like, you don't have to preserve tequila. It's just tequila. It sits in the bottle and it doesn't really go bad. When the base is water and not straight alcohol, the shelf life of ready to go mixed drinks, they've been a little harder, but we're dialing it in. I think soon we're gonna be able to do something.
What like are you 60 days on those?
Hopefully 60. Yeah. Hopefully 60.
I think those
we're closer to the powdered drinks, I would say, or at least we're closer to finalizing the concept of the powdered drinks. It may take a while to get all the materials together, but we're pretty gung ho about that.
And that's I still every single day I have to tell myself that there's so many avenues that you can take with just the beverage side of it. So many, and it's one of the greatest things because these packets that you're talking about, like, yeah, I would love to have some of those for my non-flavored seltzers. 0 sugars. Yeah. Add a packet in there. Bing, bang, boom. Are there packets that we thinking maybe dosed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to have...
Double Trouble. Sounds like a great time.
So far, the 3 ideas that are in rotation are, number 1, something that focuses around maybe like a psychedelic type art, and that's just going to be your strong... you can't get as much in a powder as you can in a drink, but 25 milligrams per serving is what that's going to be. So we'll at least be able to hit that 25 milligram mark with that. And then we have a wellness that we want to do, which is going to have lower amounts of Delta-9, vitamin C, stuff like that. And we haven't completely gone into this direction as far as fleshed out thoughts yet, but the final one was just literally a wellness line without the thought of a lot of the THC. Low dose THC numbers, high CBD numbers, mushrooms like ashwagandha, the natural stuff, maybe matcha teas. And so that's going to be an interesting little direction we're going to play with.
I'm excited to kind of see that stuff. I don't know too much about the mushroom. I dabbled with it a few years ago. The non-psychoactive stuff, I've dabbled with those too. But talking about the ashwagandhas and stuff like that.
Cordyceps, lion's mane, stuff like that.
And they all have great benefits, man. And if we can make that into a beverage to get, that sounds fantastic. Yeah. Speaking of the lower dose stuff, that's something that I want to see more. And I know it's been discussed a little bit of doing we have the blood orange one that's 6 milligrams with 4 milligrams, but just doing something even lower than that. And kind of just being that everyday wheelhouse to where you can have a couple of them and not get too faded off of them. I think those would be a huge hit.
I mean, no matter what, that's going to be the push for the bar type environment.
100%.
It's just a totally different. Like, people are happy to go into one of our stores and get a 100 milligram cannabis drink and get absolutely blasted. No one's going to the bar and drinking a 100 milligram cannabis. This is a totally different market. You want to chill and have a few drinks.
Exactly.
But yeah, we definitely want to make the lower milligram push for stuff like that. And it's been really interesting to see the difference in between the two. Like, bars really don't want that higher milligram stuff. They don't need it.
No, well, that's the thing. They don't need it. I was over at Reagan's place yesterday talking with the bartender over there. They were selling our lemonade. And I was talking to the guy, just seeing how the product was doing. He goes, man, people want to come here. They want to get up, not down. And I was like, it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? The weed drink can kind of probably mellow somebody out a little bit. They trying to get rowdy in this place. It's a bunch of young 21-year-olds.
I can see that.
So that makes sense. Sometimes that I can see that it'll make you a little bit tired and stuff like that. But yeah, for the most part, most of the places that are carrying it, restaurants and bars, it's 10 milligrams. You know, you got a few places. Clever Ale House has the 25 milligram, and they do really well with that one over there.
Sure.
Shady's, they do the Doobie Blast and the Mountain Doobie, and they sling it. Same thing with UJ, Universal Joint. You know, they've been doing the lemonade and Doobie Blast for a while now too, and I'm just kind of surprised at how well it moves there. But I think it is one of those things. I am
actually too.
It's one of those things where it's probably some of the employees crushing it, and people just going in there knowing exactly what they want. You know what I mean? So
that's true.
We'll take it, man. But I do think the 5 milligrams are going to be your everyday consumers. Higher milligrams are for the ones that want to get the faded. I mean, just like in the alcohol industry, when I have my 5% lagers, there's a time and place for my 14.5% barley wines. You know what I mean? So I drink those every single day.
Yeah, and you know, we're really talking lately about solidifying the Nashville market, especially even in working with our distributor now in Nashville, but even so beyond. We've talked about moving into the Nashville space for so long. I mean, we would just do so well there in the drink market to just have a couple of stores or a couple of locations where we could make a base and try to sell products from there, as well as get to distributors. And we're definitely more serious about it this last 2024. We've been more serious about it than ever. There's so much potential up in Nashville and Knoxville area.
Dude, Knoxville and Nashville for sure. You know, and with us just launching up in the Nashville market with Athens distribution, you know, we're already starting to see a lot of great movement. You know, Total Wine selling our stuff. Sinkers is a great liquor store up there that's well known, selling all of our product. And just those little kind of ripple effect things, that's kind of how it gets started. You know what I mean? Like, people are going in there seeking these things, our names standing out, and then you come to Chattanooga and you're like, Snapdragon is king. But you're starting to slowly see that.
Yeah, we may have taken over Chattanooga a bit.
But you're slowly starting to see that up into the Knoxville market. You know, Knoxville is just now kind of coming around with it over the past few months. It's kind of weird. I feel like Chattanooga's way ahead of them.
They are. They are.
Which I've always thought vice versa for a lot of things, but Chattanooga, we're dominating with the cannabis stuff. You know, we have a great presence in Maryville with a lot of places that are selling it. You know, there's a place in Alcoa called Tokers. I was in there a couple weeks ago talking with them. Their cases a week they're getting reordered up because people are just coming in there, so much so that they're giving us an entire cooler. We're going to be their exclusive drinks almost. And it's just like, man, that's the kind of stuff that we want to hear. And you go right down the street, you can get it at other liquor stores, you can go to Aubrey's and get it. It's wild. But even up in the Knoxville, the breweries are getting into it. That's also a great thing, because I don't think every brewery is going to get into it because they're going to look at it as a fad, which sure, some people can.
Fad, a risk, whatever they may think.
But again, we're making our own, but we can also supply the water soluble to you so you can make your own product as well.
And we already do. There are already people making drinks with us.
Yeah,
and that's great.
And the beautiful thing about it, it's just like, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I love.
Yeah, it's nice. It's definitely nice. That's one thing, probably of everything, that I'm the most proud about my time being here. Quality is not something that we've ever sacrificed. Like, we came into this with, we want to give people the knowledge and we want to give people the quality, and in my mind, we've never shirked on that. And my faith will never waver in the company or the industry as long as we continue moving in that direction. For sure. Stay on the same path.
Yeah, and I think if we continue to stay on the path of people educating the way that we do, and pumping out premium products that we do, it's a no-brainer. I mean, because that's how you take the stigma out of what everyone knows of cannabis. You teach them about the good side of it, and you show them what comes through it. I know that you have experienced it. I know that I have. Just about everyone that works with Snapdragon has listened to a story of somebody coming in there in tears of some sort.
All it takes is one. You're like, wow, I'm making a difference.
It gives me chills sometimes just thinking about the silliness of people's perception of a green plant. But yet, not the others. That's the thing that blows my mind about this. But I think 2024, you know, they say it's the year of the dragon. And
I'm feeling it.
I feel it real good.
It has been a very good year for sure.
It's been wild, man. I mean, we've been
able to do so many things, give people so many opportunities.
Yeah, dude.
It's been awesome.
Snapfest. I want to go to that. That day was a blur to me. I've worked a lot of beer festivals. They get long lines. I have never experienced anything like the beverage tent at Snapfest. Man.
There's nobody in this company that could have expected that. It was absolutely insane.
Insane, son. We went through 20-something, 30-something gallons of frozen slushy mix. The Seshees, dude. Mix. Those things they didn't stop. And those were 20 milligrams. And then on top of the drinks that we were slinging out, we introduced our energy drink that day. We did have some hundreds that people were buying, but that line did not stop.
No, ever.
I've never, even just working in the restaurant industry, I don't think I ever had a day that was just like, oh my God, please give me a Xanax and a joint so I can please sleep for 10 days. It was so busy, but it was one of those things where it's just like, whew, I felt good.
I mean, it was a big jump for us. The previous year, that was our second year doing Snapfest, and the first year was nothing like that. We had a couple people come through here and there. We made a couple $100. We sold a couple slushies. There is nothing we could have done to prepare for the success that we had, and it just makes you want to see it grow more and more and become even bigger and perhaps allocate a little more resources so we're not a little sluggish the next day.
Yeah. But it's worth it, man, because we reached 5,000 people that day that came out, something like that. I think Josh was saying like thousands of people that were coming out, and it looked like we knew exactly what we were doing because we did, man. I mean, we had the bakery stuff there, we had the retail stuff there, other vendors there, people walking around, everyone's educating everybody on stuff, and I don't know, that's how you move the needle forward, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that beverage tent that day, that was one of the things that it was at that moment where I was like, yep, they definitely got something.
Yeah, they did not stop. You did not really get a break at all.
I smashed one of the Smash Boys burgers, and that was about it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Because I think we did some dosed sauces with those guys that day too. So that was really cool. But yeah, man, it's neat to see an outsider coming into this industry in such a short time and just seeing the growth and such a rapid positive demand. It's really neat to see, man. I don't know. Cool to be a part of.
I will say this. Obviously, cannabis is a huge learning curve. There's just so much to learn about it, so many interactions with the body, so many cannabinoids working with each other, other chemicals or whatever. But your insight coming into the company with drink distribution, with the beer industry, and with these higher level drink sales type ideas, that's not really something that we had experience with as well. So we're learning a lot about that from you at the same time.
I'm still learning as well, my man. It's we're getting at that point now where it's just like, oh, we're looking at out-of-state distribution kind of stuff. We're kind of seeing what that looks like. It's kind of crazy, man, to think that it was. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of overwhelming some days where I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah, I understand.
But then again, it all pans out and it's just like, man, this is so worth it. Like this is how you do it, you know? So it's cool to see that. I'm just excited to see the next steps with it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we're not that far from going national with the distribution on it.
For sure. It should definitely be there soon. It's exciting stuff, man. And I think with the growth that we've had in Tennessee, it's just starting to become a household staple.
Yeah, it really is. There's really not that many people that don't know who Snapdragon is or what kind of products they offer. More so, not just know the name, but understand what we try to push as the brand at a household level. We've kind of reached that point in the local area. People do understand. People are not like, oh, that's the weed shop. People are like, oh, that's Snapdragon. And not everybody's like that, of course.
Sure.
But a lot of the community feels pretty good about it, and we're just appreciative that we're able to get all these 5-star reviews on our stores and continue to try to push and try to train because we love the stuff just as much as the people buying it. That's the most important part. In my mind, that's the reason why we're so successful. We just love it. We just love what we do. Whether it be Josh getting in his motorcycle accident and having to find natural alternatives to get through pain, whether it be trying to figure out why you're having anxiety attacks all the time and what kind of cannabinoids you could use to get an answer to that. It just really helps to have that kind of passion about it for sure.
Absolutely. And those are things that I was expressing to you earlier. There's times where I not be in the right headspace and smoke some weed and just get a little too paranoid. Before, I never knew how to handle that. I would just stay in my head and get paranoid and keep smoking and make it worse. But now it's just like, oh, I'll just take a CBD dropper and mellow that out and be good. Yeah, it's the stories that keep me wanting to keep selling. It's just like, this is it's so brilliant. Like, yes, makes you feel good. Awesome. It takes your pain away. Yeah. You're not 100%. Harming your body. Sounds great.
It's honestly such a riot. I know it's still helping people and maybe a little sidestep, but it's such a riot when people come. There was this guy that came into the Red Bank store yesterday, and he wanted to go to the bar, and he wanted to have a drink and a little dab. Oh, he was so precious. He was probably like 80-something years old. He was so old, and he wanted to do a dab so bad or take a drink, and he was just like, oh, I've had Snapdragon's products so many times. I've just tried whatever, and I know it'll work for me. And I was like, you know, it's great that someone that would not be expected to have this level of knowledge by far knows enough about what we do to 100%. Know that they can sit and have a drink and a dab, and they're going to be fine.
Absolutely. You know, this was personal experience. This was I was probably 26 at the time, 12 years ago or so. Had a hernia, went to the emergency room, didn't have insurance, kind of was like, what am I going to do? Went to the emergency room. Emergency room didn't find it to be an emergency to do any kind of surgery or anything like that. And doctor's first reaction was, here's some hydros. I told the doctor, is there anything else that I can do? Maybe strong ibuprofen. I was like, I abused those when I was a little younger. I'd like to stay away from them. Now, just take the script in case you want them. I take the script. I traded it for an ounce of weed. Made brownies, and it was so much better, man. It's just like the fact that I had to feel like I was doing something illegal to make me feel good during a surgery.
It's sad.
It's so sad.
It's absolutely sad.
It's so sad. And that's how it got me when I was in my 20s, man. It was same thing, hernia, surgery, here's some pills, I still feel pain. Oh, just double up on it. Taking double dosages then for 14 days, every single day, every 4 hours. I didn't realize, that was the first time I ever had a withdrawal from stuff a few days after that. And it's just like, how is that possible? But I can't, people are afraid of this little drink. Or this gummy. Like it's...
Yeah, it really blows me away for sure. I don't know. I'm not super. Of course, the cannabis industry and the big pharma industry, they have their opinions about each other. I think there's a place for everything.
Absolutely.
I won't get into a long conversation about the pharmaceutical industry as a whole, but there's a place for everything. But for me, I've struggled my whole life with just anxiety. Just anxious all the time, thinking about a billion things all the time. And I just watched so many of the people that I grew up with get put on this medicine, and get put on this medicine, and get put on this medicine. I'm like, oh, I wasn't depressed before. I was just anxious. Oh, I wasn't suicidal before. I was just anxious. Not that is 100%. That doesn't people find the right medicines for them. But when you see stuff like that happen, that was my big push into cannabis. I was like, I have to figure out how to deal with this myself. I cannot risk being over, under, or just wrongly prescribed in general, having to go through trial and error of things that change how your brain works. And again, nothing super negative about medicine in general, but that was my big jump into it.
We do need it.
100%.
It has a time and place, but
we wouldn't still be here without penicillin and stuff like that.
Yeah, like it's the things with the cannabis that people are so gung-ho about making it seem like it's worse than what it is. You know?
Yeah.
But I think these drinks and everything that Snapdragon's doing, from even the edible stuff, it's just, like I said, paving that way of changing the industry, especially in Tennessee, man. The buckle up the Bible Belt, you know? So
I'm super surprised about it. Tennessee has been super open to everything we do. I mean, of course, there's been a little bit of pushback here and there, but definitely growing up, I mean, it's a difference. You talk to someone in the Bible Belt, especially here, just my experience, of course, growing up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. You tell someone an opinion or a fact, whatever it may be, either way, if they have a strong moral belief in the Bible Belt or in being a Southerner, there's so many things, I don't know, that people are just like, when we opened up the Cleveland store, They did not even want us in Cleveland. Me and Alec, he
it.
was down here from Connecticut with Jamie, and we were out at the mall in Cleveland trying to give out flyers. Grand opening this day. We've got this for sale. This discounts. Nope. Jesus. Like, I was like, phew, they did not even really want us up there.
And that's the thing. Like, you know, a place like Cleveland, they're conservative. They just got their first liquor stores in just a few years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like within the past 10 years. And it's like, what? Y'all did what?
50 minutes already.
Okay. You said 50?
50 minutes?
I mean, I don't know. We can keep rambling, but I think we're...
I can keep going. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've pretty much covered.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything new and exciting about the drink industry. The biggest things for me were the powdered drinks and talking about the
powdered
mocktails
stuff
coming.
I'm like I said, I'm excited about the just the brainstorming of everything that we got going on. The spirit stuff, I think that's going to be a huge hit. Just navigating that industry of beverages and being able to cater to the fancy cocktail places that want to make mocktails with it, and the bar beer places that just want to sell cans. And just future growth, man. Getting out of state, I think I'm excited to see what that next step looks like. Now that we're kind of getting pretty well placed in Knoxville, Nashville, Middle Tennessee, see what else is out there, man, behind the state of Tennessee. And I know Joel's been crushing it online doing sales. I'm seeing him send out all kinds of cases to like South Carolina and North Carolina,
he's getting
Texas.
them around.
Yeah, man. And that's how you kind of start to do it, because I know he's going to get it into a pivotal place, and then somebody's going to be like, well, how can I get this in my liquor store? And that's kind of just how that works. So it's just like, it's great to see the team kind of just be able to navigate that kind of as a whole. So that's kind of the most exciting thing, is seeing the out of state stuff kind of come to fruition in a grand scheme. So,
And there's a reason why. I mean, for you, I'm sure you know this already, but I guess people that watching the podcast as well, our R&D. In my mind, our R&D is on the next level. Branson, love him. Oh, that man over at production, a drink will get released. Before that drink gets made again, it's in R&D. 100% of the time, it's being trying to improved over and over and over and over again. Every single new idea that we come out with goes to our Dragon's Roast, goes to our lounge, goes to our bars as places for people to try these things out. And if, you know, hey, this keg, we tried a keg. We made a lemon lime soda. It sat here for 2 weeks. It didn't sell. Well, back to the drawing board. That didn't work. And it really gives us an opportunity to find out what the customer wants.
absolutely.
And what people gravitate towards. So we really just like messing around.
Yeah, it's cool to say. Well, and people appreciate that because it allows for the creativity to be shown. You know what I mean? Like with the bakery, those cupcakes, man. Like I love seeing those things come out.
They're so good.
People want that creativity. They want that different flavor, but then they also want the mainstays. It's just how it's going to go, man. But everybody wants something different. Like the cyclist, that community, I want to get into that community so hard. And we actually sponsored one of the races up in the Reliance, Tennessee a few months ago. And we took the CBD, the blood orange one down there with the Delta 9 and CBD. But we're going to do another one with them in... it's up in, I think it's Dayton for Oktoberfest this year. It's a big bike ride. But that community, man, like those powdered drinks, like if we can do that with some kind of electrolytes and some CBDs in that in a bike ride, drinking that at 30 miles into a 80-mile bike ride, I don't know, that might be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it might be.
So, and those are the things that I love to see kind of start to happen. So.
And I like especially with the blood orange push. I mean it's a good drink. It's got electrolytes in it. It's from ancient sea salt. It's got your 100% dose of vitamin C in it. It's got no sugar, stuff like that. For those kind of things, absolutely perfect. People are gonna love that for sure.
So keep on drinking. You know? The weed drinks.